Thank you to everyone who's joining us and for giving us grace and patience as we adopt new technology in order to enhance and improve this process and this viewership. So again, little hiccups. I think we've all experienced those technology hiccups, and so we appreciate the grace that you give us as we continue to elevate and provide a platform for students and for student voice. So I come to you today, this February 10th afternoon. I know you've been working all day long, and so I appreciate that you're spending the next hour. This is the Middle East North Africa Student Experience Panel. And I already want to pause on this because what I really appreciate is I've had the privilege of meeting these students twice before, and they've already taught me so much. In particular, one of the things that we did was say, well, we're going to have a Middle East panel. And they said, wait a minute, it's Middle East North African Student Experience Panel. And so I really appreciate how much I'm already learning from them. And I know that you will learn as well as we, again, continue to strive to elevate student voice and truly understand student experience. Another piece that occurred is that when we were looking at population, because we tried to give a sense of population across the United States, California and San Diego County, we ran across many difficulties. And the reason for those difficulties is because when for census information, our population is actually categorized as white. And so we weren't able to disaggregate accurate data in order to truly have this slide. Now we thought about removing the slide altogether, but I think this is an important piece because not being counted in census numbers, I think is also important as these students tell their stories. And then I will begin, of course, always with the same sort of spirit, which is that, I hope that you listen and that you listen with an open mind, an open heart, an open will. And of course, just as the Indigenous scholar Silko says, these stories are not for our entertainment, they're for change and for really looking at our practice and thinking about the ways that we can continue to be good advocates for all students. And now I'm really proud to introduce our partners are here. It's Felicia and Anthony from Student Support Services, but Felicia Singleton will be the next speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Fabi. As Dr. Fabi mentioned, we have learned so much from these young folks. And the first thing was the region, the MENA region. So the term the Middle East is itself a British colonial invention. It takes a European point of view, geographically speaking. The MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, also known as the Middle East, is the region that stretches from Morocco to Iran. Next slide, please. The MENA region is one of the most linguistically diverse regions with more than 60 languages being spoken. But the four most common languages spoken in this region are Arabic, Hebrew, Persian, and Turkish. And there is significant religious diversity in the MENA region. The three major religious groups are Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. And now I would like to introduce our moderator for this afternoon's conversation as Sarah. It's my honor to introduce you, and she will lead us this afternoon. Take it away, Sarah.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much, Felicia. So I wanted to start off with the land acknowledgement. So we would like to take this time to honor and acknowledge those who came before us and those who occupied this land before all of us. There are 4 different tribes native to the San Diego County area. They are the Kumeyaay, the sorry, my pronunciation is not very well, the Payomikawichom, I believe, and the Kupeno and the Kahula. Again, I apologize for my pronunciation, it's not very well. Our ancestors tended to this land for millennia before periods of colonization culminated in broken treaties and stolen land. They are people of much culture, strength, and resilience. Today, our words carry prayers of for our elders and ancestors that came before us. Thank you. So we would first like to start off by introducing ourselves and who do we dedicate this conversation to. So my name is Sarah Hussein. I identify as a North African Muslim woman. I am dedicating this conversation to my parents because they taught my sisters and I to always be proud of who we are and where we came from despite being a minority. So if Asia, if you could please answer.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Asia. I identify as a Palestinian Muslim, and I'm dedicating this conversation to my family because they always encourage and inspire me to be proud of who I am.
Thank you, Asia. If I could have Miriam, please introduce yourself.
I think Miriam's having some challenges with technology, so you'll have to go on.
All right, so could I please have Noor introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. My name is Noor Hamida and I identify as a Palestinian Muslim woman. I like to dedicate this conversation to my mom because she always taught me to embrace who I am, my culture, and my religion, and use it to strive to do good and to do better with who I am and with my peers in the world.
Thank you so much, Noor. Serene, if you could please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Sireen. I identify as a North African Muslim woman. I'm dedicating this conversation to my family because they always push me to be confident and proud of my origin and stepping out of my comfort.
Thank you so much, Serene. Tomer, if you could please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Tomer. I identify as an Israeli Jewish person, and I'm dedicating this conversation to my parents because they always told me to be proud of who I am and from where I'm from. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tomer. Ayub, could you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ayub. I identify as a Muslim Arab American, and I dedicate this conversation to everyone or anyone in the world that's dealing with an identity crisis right now.
Thank you so much, Ayub. AJ, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is AJ. Identify as a Syrian Muslim, and I am dedicated this conversation sorry to my family and my dad because he always push me up and then to never give up.
Thank you so much, AJ. And lastly, we have Yasser. If you can please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Yasser. I identify as an Egyptian male Muslim, and I'm dedicating this conversation to my parents because they've always pushed me to never look down on my culture and to always be proud of it.
Thank you so much, Yasser. Okay, so the first question I would like to ask everybody is, what is your experience with assumptions that are made by being either Middle Eastern or North African? So personally for me, I have faced many assumptions as being a visibly Muslim North African woman who chooses to wear the headscarf. A lot of people assume that I was forced to wear it and that it is oppressive, even though that is not the case. I chose to wear the hijab because I fell in love with it, and the significance of it in the Islamic tradition is really beautiful once you understand and you read how the meaning behind it. Another assumption I have heard that was that I am not well educated because there's a stereotype against women from the Middle Eastern, North African region, which is that we are not well educated and our families do not want us to be educated, which is completely false because personally for me, education is actually really encouraged in my culture and my religion as a Muslim woman. And I come from a family full of well-educated women. And just an example is my mom. She's an immigrant Muslim woman who immigrated from Algeria. And she wears the headscarf and is in the process of completing her PhD. So uh, this sort of assumption that is made towards my people is something that I have heard and is very common. Asia, if you could please answer the question.
I 100% agree with Sada. There are many assumptions made about Middle Easterns, but a big one for me would be that we are associated with terrorists, bad people, like a label.
Thank you, Asia. Could I please have Ayub, if you could answer the question?
I think an assumption that I've heard is that we're like these people from old tribes and we're not up to date with culture, and that we're also like these harsh people that are terrorists.
Thank you so much. Noor, if you could please answer the question.
For me personally, at first glance, all my peers at school first think that I'm like of Hispanic descent and they treat me like everyone else around me. But once they get to know that I am Arab from a Middle Eastern descent, they start assuming that like they start assuming that they fit me into a stereotype that the the social media and television shows, and they kind of start distancing themselves from me. Other assumptions that have been made about me was that, like Sada said, I'm uneducated. And when people see my grades or my GPA, they are so surprised for some reason. And it honestly makes me feel like I'm not worth as much as I am because everybody puts me in such a spot where I downgrade myself.
Thank you, Noor, for answering the question. Serene?
A big assumption that I find people have is that when they see me, they assume I'm uneducated, I'm an immigrant, and I don't speak English. And when people know and get to know me and know that I am a Muslim, they build even more stereotypes and prejudices, such as that we are violent and terrorists, and those are completely false.
Thank you so much, Serene. Tomer?
I would say a experience and assumptions that I get from being Middle Eastern is I always get kind of a harmful stare, and people keep associating me with a bunch of negativity and violence, which is not really true. I know a lot of people that are Middle Eastern, especially in my school, are really good and kind souls, and I feel like they're also not being treated and respected in that sense. Yeah.
Thank you, Tomer. AJ?
The first thing I get from my experience and as a population is like my language, and then like in the schools, like when I was in my schools, old schools, so when they think like I'm a Middle Eastern, so they talk to me and then do some stuff like hurtful, like they think like I'm not a success person, then I'm not the education person. So that's all what I get from like my old school, like in schools and stuff like this. And with other people, there's like up street, when I like walk, like some of them, they know me like I didn't talk in English, and then to understand, so they start talk to me like and think and try to put me like on like position like I can't can't control myself. So that's all what I.
Thank you, AJ. Yasser, if you could please answer the question.
So many people assume that Middle Eastern countries are very poor and behind, like not up to date on technology, even though they're just as advanced as America, if not more advanced.
Thank you, Yasser. And Miriam just joined us. So Miriam, if you could please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Miriam.
And can you tell us like who you dedicate this conversation to?
I honor this conversation to every person who has been discriminated regardless of their background.
Thank you, Miriam. And can you please answer the first question, which is, what is your experience with assumptions that are made by being Middle Eastern?
I think many people think that all Arab people are Muslim, which is not true because there is a lot of diversity in religions in the Middle East.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. So the next question is, what is your experience with being harmed by racism? I think this is a really important question to bring up because there's a lot of instances where Middle Eastern and North African students are subjected to racism but aren't really vocal about it. Personally, for me, being the only visible Muslim in my high school was very challenging because I faced a number of Islamophobic remarks from people shouting Allahu Akbar, which is translated to God is great in the halls, or asking questions such as, oh, is Osama bin Laden your uncle? Oftentimes I would get questions such as, were you happy after terrorist attacks took place? But the important thing to recognize is that there are also other forms of racism and Islamophobia which students face in class, such as not being comfortable in the learning environment or not having the proper accommodations to make the students feel accepted in the school or class, or even how Islam or different Middle Eastern, North African cultures are brought up in the class by the teachers and how they are portrayed to the students, whether in a positive or a negative connotation. So those are also different forms of racism, which I personally experienced in my school. Asia, if you could please answer the question.
My experience with racism was a couple years back in middle school. A group of boys would constantly shout the phrase Allahu Akbar. It is a beautiful phrase that means God is great. Clearly, they were disrespecting me and my religion, using the phrase as an insult. Another instance is in my brother's class. His teacher was teaching the students about the three major religions and said a main difference between Islam and the other religions is that there is a love in Christianity and Judaism, but there is no word for love in Arabic. And that's offensive. As a teacher, you need to know what you're stating is accurate, and that is far from it.
Thank you, Asia, for sharing and answering the question. Miriam?
I've never experienced racism because I've been in an Islamic school my whole life. And now that I'm a freshman in high school, due to the pandemic, I didn't go to school in person. However, I don't want people to be racist to me due to me wearing a scarf, since it would be my first time wearing it in a public school. I also don't want this to impact me because I've seen people be racist to my mother growing up due to the fact that she also wears a hijab.
Thank you, Miriam. Noor?
Thankfully, I've never been harmed physically by racism, but I have on multiple different occasions been by words. And one of those times was in class, and it was the time of 9/11, and every year when 9/11 comes around, we of course honor the terrible tragedy that happened, but at the same time, being an Arab Muslim student at my school, I get stares and side comments and over the years, I've kind of bottled it up, but I had enough of it last year. And I told my teacher and I asked her if I could be excused just from this lesson because I was uncomfortable with the stares and the side remarks and the comments that I was hearing in my own class. Like I should be able to feel safe in my class, not feel like I'm being pinpointed by my whole class and even my teacher. Because when I asked her if I could be excused, she told me that it's basically not that big of a deal. And like, I should just blow off like the side remarks and everything. And that kind of hurt honestly because she told everybody else, like all of the non-Arab students, if they were uncomfortable that they can um be excused. And the fact that I, as an Arab student, didn't have the excuse to get excused was very hurtful in a way. Another time was I am very proud of being Muslim and I let people know that I am Muslim. And then people think that they are allowed to interrogate me because I don't wear the headscarf. And I know my religion, I know what I have to do, and I know myself. And it wasn't fair that I was being interrogated and I had enough of it. And when I went to the school board and everything, they pretty much told me, well, the people are being like, they're asking you because this is what they're taught. And then the second that I tell them why I'm not wearing it or my reason or whatever it may be, they pretty much tell me that it's my fault and that I'm putting it onto myself because it's my religion and I should be following my religion.
Thank you so much, Noor, for sharing that. I know it's not easy to recount such experiences, but regardless, that was very brave of you. So Serene, if you could please answer the question.
My personal experience is being the only Muslim girl at my school, and it's getting the stares and the comments on 9/11 and the little snarky remarks that people say, or even when Islam, Muslims, or my origin is ever mentioned in a class, you always get everyone staring at you. And I feel like the lack of understanding basic holidays, no accommodations for us. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Serene. Tomer?
My experience with the racism in my school was actually I was in a class at the beginning of my high school year, and I was approached by a group of people, around five or so, and they had something which was about where I'm from, and they started interrogating me. And I told them respectfully I didn't want to be in the conversation, um, as talking about where I'm from just didn't feel comfortable, especially at the um, context of where I was. Um, and they didn't really take no for an answer, and they didn't really respect that. Um, After that happened, I started getting anti-Semitic and xenophobic comments, as well as racist comments, and that continued on for the next couple of weeks. And when that one scenario happened, when it started, I was actually on the corner of the classroom because that's where I sat, and I was surrounded on that corner. And I asked my teacher if she can do anything, and she said no. And I felt at that given situation, um, and for the next couple of weeks, that I was kind of alone and I had no one that would help me. It made me feel, I guess, hopeless um, at that given situation.
Thank you so much, Tomer. Ayub?
My experience with racism was in ninth grade. So it was my first year in public high school, and we were in English class. And um, my teacher was basically, choosing these articles and asking the students to read them. And then those articles were about these it was a racist article, basically talking about how these Middle Easterns and Muslims were doing these honor killings and that they're basically beasts and whatnot. And so she would do that and then talk about it in class, and she also would give racist remarks throughout the class. I even remember one time she brought up a picture of a Muslim woman wearing the niqab, and basically she was like, look at how beautiful she is. Oh wait, you can't see her. And it's just those kind of remarks that she was giving. So obviously I talked about it with my parents. We talked about it with the vice principal and had a meeting with her. And she never admitted that she did anything wrong. And then she was told by the vice principal to basically apologize and tell the students that that the information that she gave them was wrong. But when she did that, she showed that she was kind of doing it forcefully. And also, like a year later or two, I learned that she did the same thing 2 years before, and then the year before my class, and the year after my class. So it was kind of for multiple years, she was just giving this false information to her students.
Thank you, Ayu, for sharing. AJ?
My experience with with being like a harm by racism at my school. So when I was in middle school, like sixth grade or seventh grade, so we just was talking like with the students, and then some of them they asking me like, is there's like all the Islam's like uh terrorism, like, or like because they have a war, like, so if they like do like some stuff, and then like they start the wars, and then one of them asking me like, I know like someone tell me like Allahu Akbar mean like when you have a bomb, and then he started asking me like questions, and I don't know having like any idea what is Allahu Akbar mean, and then
I think AJ's having some technical difficulties. We might have to come back to him.
Okay. So Yasser, if you could please answer the question.
Yeah, so while I've never been harmed by racism, every year on 9/11, I'd get like some comments by people that I even considered friends. Like nothing like too bad, but they just like ask me questions about it, stuff.
Thank you, Yasser, for sharing. AJ, is your Wi-Fi working better now?
yeah.
Okay, want to continue?
Sorry about it. Yeah. So I just wasn't saying when I was like seventh grade in my middle school, there is some students wasn't asking me about stuff, what does Allahu Akbar mean? And then he said, you guys like because you're a Muslim, maybe like you have a bomb in your backpack. Like one of them asking me like this questions, and then the other one is asking me, is that true when you have a bomb like you just say Allahu Akbar? And that's it. I don't know. I asking them, guys, it's not like that way because we all are different. So if you like who people tell you this one, so this thing he's aligned to you, he's give you like the fake, or like it's not the true thing about like Middle East.
Thank you, AJ, for sharing. So the next question is, what or who has been most helpful for you in becoming an empowered young person? For me, it has been my parents. They have been most helpful for me in becoming an empowered young person because they immigrated to a country not knowing the language or culture or societal norms. And they came here in search for a better opportunity for my sisters and I. And seeing them strive every day to learn the customs of this country and language and to better integrate into the society inspired me because compared to them, I have certain privileges in which they do not have. So I should use the privilege of being born and raised here in America to better help my community and make me feel empowered to, you know, to strive to be better in order to see the best for my community and my people. Asia?
My family has been the most helpful for me in becoming an empowered young woman. They're always there for me and push me to be the best me and to be proud of the person I am in the background.
Thank you, Asia. Miriam?
My parents and my faith have been most helpful for me in becoming an empowered young person because they both taught me to stand up and defend my rights.
Thank you, Miriam. Noor?
If I were to sit here and name every single person that has helped me become an empowered young person, I would be here forever, and I'm not going to do that to you guys. But if I can say that the top three, I would first say my grandparents because they moved to so many different countries, and I wish I was joking. They literally have moved to 6 different countries. And they finally settled in America. And my dad was born and raised here. I was born and raised here. But knowing and hearing the stories that my grandparents went through and hearing the things that they had to go through for me to have the life that I have now, I can't ever repay them enough. And even though they're not here with me on the Zoom, I know that they're so proud of me and I have them to thank. And honestly, every single person that has been racist towards me and my peers also has a part of who I am because they opened my eyes and they showed me the scary world that we live in. And they showed me that I have to stand up for myself, for my rights, for my religion, for my culture, and use my voice. And lastly, I want to say Sada, Sidine, their family, because I've known them since I was literally 4 years old. And me and Sidine have been best friends for I don't even know how long. And she always has encouraged me to use my voice and use it for the better. And she always made sure that I was okay, even in times where I wasn't.
Thank you so much, Noor. Wow, I feel really appreciated. Serena, if you could please answer the question.
Yes. My parents are my biggest inspiration. I watched them in a country where they had to start new, leaving their family behind and learning a new language, culture, and system. My mom now learned all about the school system, and she helps students like me project our voices and give us a voice. And my dad is an activist for fighting for people all across the nation. Also, watching women of color who hold high positions of power, speaking up about their rights, and also my community. My community has always, watching the little generation, and I always think like the generation that's coming next. And I think like, well, if I speak now, there will be a difference for them. And also all my friends and all my family everywhere.
Thank you so much, Serene. Tomer?
Some people I'd want to thank for helping me become an empowered young person is my parents and as well my whole family. Without them, a lot of the things that I've struggled with, I would have had to tackle by myself and most likely would have gone the wrong opinion or the wrong um, ideas of what to do, and they helped guide me in the right direction, the right path, which I'm really thankful for. As well, looking at my parents, which moved here when I was 2, They moved from scratch and they worked from the ground up. And it's really inspiring to look at them and see from going from step one to where they are right now.
Thank you, Tomer. Ayub?
I think the person that's helped me become an empowered person the most is definitely my grandfather. I look up to him a lot, and he's my role model. And he has so many characteristics that I wish I can have even like 10% of, because he's just such an amazing person.
Thank you so much, Ayub. AJ?
So the person has been most helpful for me to becoming a empower a young person. So it's my dad, my parents, my mom, my dad, and then my big brother. So they was like helping me, and then try every day to teach me a new lesson in my life. And then the big one who wasn't helping me is my dad. He's always encouraged me, and then he's always stay with me if I need help. So for my dad and all my family too.
Thank you so much, AJ. Yasser?
So my parents have definitely been the ones that helped me the most with this because they raised me with the right mindset of an empowered young person.
Thank you so much, Yasser. Okay. So the next question is, what might you need or want from the adults around you at school? I do not entirely blame the teachers and staff at the schools. If anything, I blame the leadership for not putting together a sort of training for educators to learn cultural and religious sensitivity. However, we can't deny the fact that the teachers and staff do play a role in it as well, because it's also your own individual sort of like taking it upon yourself to go and try to make your classroom a better environment for your students. I wish to see less ignorant teachers and staff who have somewhat of an understanding on different religions and cultures and try to make the learning environment accepting for all their students. I'm sure some of you guys, like we've said it before, it's hard being like a Muslim student or an Arab student in the classrooms, but I don't think you guys actually like really understand how hard it is being different from everybody else in your classroom, being like, personally for me, being the only student wearing a headscarf, and it can oftentimes get in the way of a student's education and result them in not performing very well academically. I think that there should be more accommodations put in place for the students. A very big one is Ramadan, because a lot of students fast during Ramadan, which is where we abstain from food and drinks from dawn to sunset. And with Ramadan progressing more and more into the school years, and especially during the exam seasons, it's important to let the students know, like, we are here for you. If you want to take a break because you haven't eaten all day and you're trying to focus on this exam, it's very difficult. So I think we just need to have more of an understanding of your students who come from different backgrounds. Asia, if you could please answer the question.
I agree with everything you said. I want the adults at school to make sure that the information that they're teaching about my religion and culture is accurate. I also want there to be more discussions on our religion, on our culture and holidays, because I hear little to nothing about it.
Thank you, Asia. Miriam?
I would want them to understand our cultural and religious beliefs, such as the daily prayers, fasting, and our modest clothing, such as the scarf, and how they should stand up to people like Middle Easterns that have faced racism and bullying.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Noor?
I'm gonna tag along onto what everybody said. I 110% agree with everything that you guys have said so far. But to add on to that, what I'd like to see is more sympathy towards us. Because like Sada said, like especially during Ramadan, like there would be times where we'd have to run the mile and like I'd be dead because I would have PE sixth period and I'd just be out of it. Like, and I'd ask if I can sit down or stay out of it, and I would pretty much be told no, like you can do it. It's not that hard. And then once I cracked at a point and I was like, okay, why don't you fast for a whole day and then tell me you can go run a mile in the hot sun and then tell me how you're doing. But I'd like to see more sympathy. And also like what Sada said, I can't fully blame the teachers. It's also the board and everybody else behind the teachers. But at the same time, the teachers are they're their own selves, and they're adults and they're educators. So why can't they educate themselves about other religions, other cultures, ethnicities, and be more diverse, not only with Middle Easterns and North Africans, but with everyone?
Thank you, Noor. I definitely agree. I know this panel is for Middle Eastern and North African students, but that includes all minorities as well, because I want the same for everybody as well. Serene?
I think the most important thing is being sensitive and cautious about what kind of videos, lectures, or contents you're putting on, educating themselves about all religions, backgrounds, and teaching them all fairly without any biases. Also, highlighting holidays, teaching all students about diversity, promoting diversity, and also always keeping in mind that a lot of textbooks have a negative connotation to the MENA region. So, adding that positive connotation, and even if that means, adapting something new and, going a little bit off of the textbook and just, giving a little bit more of a positive connotation. Also, I think ultimately we're living in a really tough world. And I think just giving support, asking a student how they're doing, and just, reassuring them that, you're there for them and you're helping them, and just to be that sort of a support system.
Thank you so much, Serene. Tomer?
I think I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I think, in all honesty, minorities, teachers need to be educated as well as educate themselves, as well as not really grab a bias on certain things, on certain topics that are, I guess, more controversial. And as well, like Noor said, and a couple of other people, you have to have sympathy for certain things. For example, being Jewish, there's Shabbat, and even with the online platform or format, a lot of teachers make things due right as Shabbat is starting for me, and that's kind of difficult, especially when I can't really attend when I have things to do at that exact time, or I'm not able to be on technology. So I think sympathy and understanding every side and trying to see what we're going through instead of just what they're going through, that's a big thing. As what I guess mentioned, the board, I do think that, in all honesty, teachers and the board should give information to teachers about what's going on and try to educate them as well, since that's really important. And the board has to have some action to make the teachers and understand that the teachers know um, what's going on instead of just them doing independent research, because sometimes it's just not enough.
Thank you so much, Tomer. Ayub?
I think the adults at the schools should educate themselves about um, the different religions and people in the MENA region. And I think uh, the I think the adults should also educate or somehow implement a way to educate the kids at the schools too, because um, coming from them, it would probably make a bigger impact to the students. And at the same time, I mean, they're educating themselves as well as educating the students at the same time. So it's a win-win.
Thank you, Ayub. AJ?
So for the for you know for the adults, in the school, and then like the teachers too. So maybe like I agree like with Noah, she said, like they need, if the teacher put himself just like me. So when I have PE in sixth period, I have like two classes of PE, and then it was Ramadan, so I have to run like 2 miles in a day. So sixth period and seventh period, I asked for like, maybe like for a break and something. So he said no, I can't. So and then maybe like I need like they can understand us like more, and then you can search and like in our culture, and then learn the good thing about us. So and then how Ramadan is important to us, to be fasting all the day, and that's it.
Thank you, AJ. Yasser?
So I think adults should, yeah, educate themselves on all religions and a good variety of cultures, just so that they have an idea of what to expect for any situation. Like if you want to run during PE but you're fasting, they'll already have an idea about that if they just study it beforehand.
Thank you so much, you guys, for answering the question. The last question I will take upon myself to answer. And the question was, are there any situations that you would like to talk about that have happened during the pandemic? Um, so a lot of the immigrant and refugee community here in San Diego suffered during this pandemic. We heard of many cases where the students do not have access to Wi-Fi and computers in order to get onto their Zoom class and learn. A lot of them live in apartments that aren't as big and aren't given a lot of space to be able to sit, and they have their siblings who also are on Zoom classes and are sitting in the same room. So you would oftentimes hear of students that would sit in the closet in order to join the Zoom class. And when their teachers ask them, like, can you turn on your camera? Like, we want to see your face, like the video, they feel embarrassed to say that, oh, I'm sitting in the closet, like I can't turn on my video. So this is just a lot of similar stories that have happened throughout San Diego from the immigrant and refugee community. And they've suffered and they're still suffering a lot during these difficult times. So with that being said, do any of the panelists have any closing remarks? Anything you guys want to add that you haven't said already? Anything that you guys want to let the educators know? Feel free to do so. Yeah, Noor?
I just first wanted to say thank you to everybody that has like put this all together for the past couple of weeks, and we really like this is the change that we needed. And to everybody watching and everybody that's going to watch this, like Sireen and Sada and a couple of others said, yes, this is a Middle Eastern, North African panel, but it's something that's happening with so many different minorities, so many different races and ethnicities. And it shouldn't stop here. It shouldn't stop at Middle Easterns. Yes, just because this problem hopefully is going to be resolved doesn't mean that all the problems are going to go away. And I just wanted to say thank you, because deep down, it really does mean a lot. And it's the change that we really needed. And like they always say, our generation is going to be the one to change the world, but it's the adults and the people who are helping us use our voices and stand up for ourselves and our peers that are really the people that are changing for the future. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tomer.
I just want to say that I have a lot of respect for everyone that showed up, including the teachers and Anthony and Felicia for being on here and helping moderate this. I really respect and have a lot of positive looks on this program, as well as giving me an opportunity to speak, is, I think, something that I took for granted, and I'm very thankful for having the opportunity to. I also really respect everyone else here, Ayub, Asia, Noor, Sarah, AJ, Serene, and Yasser, for talking about you guys' experience. I know it's very hard, and I know it takes guts and courage, and I really respect everything that was said. Um, yeah, I really hope that at one point um, you guys will take our comments and will be able to empathize and realize what's going on and hopefully change things that are needed to be changed. And I really respect if you guys do. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Tomer. And I just wanted to pass it on to Anthony.
Thank you, Sarah. You did such an amazing job. We're just so thankful to you for moderating this, and you to all of us, you're like a rising star. I can just see you doing such amazing things. And then to all of you panelists, really, we want to thank you because you're truly serving the community right now. You're volunteering to educate us adults about who you are, about your culture, about what you need, also about your hard experiences. And that's how we grow in understanding and empathy, and hopefully then in compassion for you, your family members, your loved ones, and all the people from the Middle East and North Africa. We really honor you. We value you. We want to just thank you from the bottom of our hearts for this, and also want to pass it over to our director, Felicia.
I just echo everything that Anthony has said. You all are just your jewels. You're super special. In your words, you're dope, you're brave, you're able to get on here, and you're teaching us so much. The fact that we have Tomer from who is Jewish, and we have some of you who are Muslim, you have completely shattered and disrupted the negative narrative that's out there about you two, about those two religions. And I just give you so much. I just give you props. I mean, I'm very, very honored to be able to do this work. And one thing I want to leave you with and with our attendees with is someone shared in the comment, and this is what this work is about. She put, "You are all brave, strong, and amazing. I appreciate your truth, honesty, and message. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. As a teacher, I pledge to educate myself more, be more aware, and use your lessons to better myself for all my students. You've made a difference for me, and I'm sure for many others, by your willingness to share your stories." So sometimes we do work and we don't see the evidence of that work for years to come. But you all have made an impact in the moment that is going to shift teacher practice, educator practice, which will benefit the lives of children. So on behalf of the San Diego County Office of Education, we thank you all for your bravery. We thank all of you, the attendees who have spent this last hour with us today, and we wish you all well. Everybody stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just have our panelists just stay on until everyone exits.
Okay.
And thank you all for all of your comments in the chat. For the panelists, you may want to look at the chat comments. They're quite beautiful, powerful for what you did for the community. You can just see, you can scroll up on the chat and see what they said. these amazing comments continue to come in.
Wow, these are really inspiring.
Yeah, well, that's the great job that you all did. I mean, everyone felt it, right? From the heart.
Yeah.
And one thing I will try to do, I can't promise you I can do it because I don't know if this will allow me. I was going to try to save the chat because then I can share it with you at some point. So I will try to do that, and then what I'll do is I'll try to email it to you all, so that you can kind of just have a chance to look at that at the chat comments and maybe show your parents or show people you love, like this is the difference that this makes. And like what Felicia said, if it was just that one teacher saying how she's going to change her way of doing things, that would have been worth it. Mm-hmm. But this is several people. Look at all the they continue to come in.
We're going to be notified when all the attendees have exited.
Thank you. And this is the first time we've been able to actually have the chat comments come from the participants. This is the first panel of every panel we've had ever. Have we ever had this opportunity to see how people, and just look at what they're saying.
Amazing responses.
Reading those responses, honestly, like they're so like, I feel safe reading them. Like it makes me feel so appreciated and like loved, and it makes me feel seen and heard. And I think more than anything, that is the best feeling. And like, hopefully the best comes out of everything that we just like talked about and discussed and everything. But even if it takes a while for that change to happen, I'm glad that the teachers and everyone that attended this and everyone hopefully that will see this in the future, I'm glad that they heard us, and I'm glad that they see our point of view. And I don't know, I'm gonna get emotional if I keep talking, so I'm just gonna be quiet now.
Okay, Nora, you said it well. That this, even for us, when we volunteer like this to educate the community, and then we get this kind of feedback, it really restores our sense of hope. So that's why it is emotional. Beautiful. And I think that's why we had some of the technical difficulties in the beginning on logging on, because this is the first time. Usually, for example, the panelists are in one Zoom call, and then all the participants are on another, a separate one. But this is the first time I've ever seen it where they brought everybody together. And our County Office of Ed people, thank you, Ed and Tom, for helping us with all the technology. But they're the ones that helped us bring us all in and make the panelists have their part, and the participants their part. So it worked out well in the end. Thank you.
Yeah, this was a fantastic session. Very, very enlightening. Thanks for letting us help.
Right, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks. So Ed, I don't know if
Still have 9 attendees in the room.
so Ed, I don't know, is there a possibility to just only have us and have the people that are just participants kind of off the
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close the attendee room.
Okay, thank you. And then just, like for us here, I know it seems like it was a very positive experience for all of us. I know it was for me, but any comments that any of you have for each other or anything like that? Yes.
We still have 5 people. He's going to shut the room down and then we can talk freely.
Okay.
4, okay. So
Dr. Stephen Dorsey is still in. Do you want him part of the conversation or?
He's okay, yeah.
well, we can go, yeah, we just.
All right, he left. I think he heard me talking.
So, so Anthony, you want to ask your question again?
I just wanted to ask, just as a like a little bit of a debrief, maybe with you first, Sarah, because that was a big job that you had to manage our whole group, and I really just I was amazed that you were able to do that with this new format, and it kind of was a little bit difficult at first, but the way you just made it flow like water. So, but do you have any comments?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to apologize for the beginning. I made a slip up. I said the land acknowledgement, and I don't think that I was meant to say it. I don't remember if we went over that, but I literally I had the paper in front of me and I read the land acknowledgement and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do that or not. So I apologize for that. And also I ended up saying my last name and I didn't mean to. But it's so common, like it's kind of like
Yeah.
I think like whenever I say Sarah, I'm just like, oh, Sarah Hussein, but I don't usually just say Sarah when I introduce myself. So that was it. But other than that, I think it went really smoothly and I think it went really well. I just want to thank everybody for, cooperating and being able to bring this together. And of course, Anthony and Felicia, you guys are amazing. You guys brought this together along with your colleagues. So thank you so much for that.
Very welcome. Yeah. Any other comments?
Perfect. I'm glad you read the land acknowledgement. It was perfect. I mean, I'm still shook.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you to Anthony, Felicia, everyone who helped organize this, because really, oh, sorry. Okay, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, all the panelists, Anthony, Felicia, everyone who helped in the background work. It really means a lot to have our voices heard. And yeah, I think it was really worth it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anybody else?
I am so proud of each and every single one of you. Not only myself, like I'm proud of myself, but I'm proud of each and every one of you. I know that I don't know a lot of people that are very open, and I don't know very many of you very well. I mean, the only people I've ever met in person are Sidi and Sada and Asya. I've met her in person, haven't really talked to her, but I still have met her, and she's an amazing person. But I am very proud of each and every one of you guys because I know it's not easy. Personally, for me, it was easier just because I am used to talking about my problems and I'm used to opening up about it. And I just want to say, like, change isn't going to happen in one day. We're not going to wake up and racism is not going to be gone. Discrimination is not going to be gone. That's not how the world works. Like my grandpa always says, if there was never enemies in the world and there was never racism and discrimination, if our world was perfect, then we wouldn't survive because that's just how life is. It's annoying, but that's how it is. But change is coming. Um, and if any of you guys ever need me, not that you probably ever will, but if you guys ever like need somebody to talk to, or like need somebody just to like let out all your steam, I'm here. I will put my phone number. Can I put my phone number in
You're fine.
social media into the thing? Okay.
It's okay just with this group now.
Okay. So if any of you guys need me, I'm gonna put my information in the chat. You guys can text me. I'm an open book, and I think I'm a very easy person to talk to.
Well, you're awesome. Thank you, Nora. Any last comments?
I was gonna say thank you for allowing us to use our voices, because like that's out of a lot of things of which can be used to change one thing. The voice is something where it can be taken to a point of empathy and compassion, and as well as reasoning. And without a voice, a lot of people can't really convey that message. And it's really important. And the fact that we're able to share with our own voices instead of just kind of like a paragraph or something, with our own voices in front of multiple people about our experiences is something that I'll never forget. And I just want to thank you for this one opportunity, because it's really, really important for us.
Well, it's really our honor and pleasure. And I think, again, Sarah, I want to say that one of the things that you did so well was the way you acknowledged and you thanked each person every single time. To me, that was beautiful, because that helps everybody feel honored, right? They feel like, hey, she's listening to me. She thanks me every single time. And that's important. So as a facilitator, I'm a facilitator, but seeing you, I'm like, wow, man, that was amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, is there anything else?
I just wanted to say also thank you for doing this for all different minority groups, because I know that it's not just one minority group. I know that it's a lot. And, all together, if we all stand together and all tell our stories, then that will help dismantle the white supremacy and the white supremacist system in this country. So I just wanted to say, like, really, thank you. It means a lot.
That was beautiful. Now, by the way, it was beautiful in your talks, in your answers. I noticed you were saying, yeah, we want this for not for our group, but we want it for everybody. Honestly, I thought that was beautiful, that you're not only just thinking about just yourselves, you want this literally for all young people to feel free and safe.
100%. I think that a lot of the things that, like, one of the biggest things is like joint struggle. Like, we all have similar struggles. Some have experienced their struggle longer than others in this country. For example, like, we can't disregard, like, the Black community that have been going through a lot of anti-Blackness and racism, like, from the very foundations of this country. So for me personally, I don't just want to see, I don't want to just see like the country be better just for my people, but I want to see it for everybody, for the Black community, for the Hispanic community, Native American community, Asian community, like everybody. I just want it for everyone,
That's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
We adults have a lot to learn from the young people.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I'd also just like to say thank you so much. This was such a good experience, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Asia. That was great.
Well, I would say thank you, everyone, and then thank you, Anthony, for let us to speak, and then you guys listen to my voice and to the other people who's here. Thank you for everyone.
Very welcome, AJ.
Please let your parents know, your grandparents, your families know. We thank them and honor them as well, because we know the bravery it took for you to come and talk and tell your story. So please extend our thanks and appreciation to your families as well.
And I think
she was a big deal.
also, I think everybody knows, right? This was recorded, and it will be one of the YouTube. There's a list of YouTube student panels, and now yours is going to go on there, but it'll kind of be sent out, and people will share it with other educators. That's what we've noticed. People will see these kinds of panels, and they'll tell me, "Oh, I'm going to share this with my superintendent. I'm going to share this with my all my staff. And because the people, honestly, they haven't seen anything like this before.
Mhm.
So it's going to get out there, and don't, hopefully, your anonymity is maintained. But if anybody ever sees you and says, "Hey, I remember you," that's all right. Hopefully it's all good.
Mhm. Yes.
All right, everybody. Well, look, have a wonderful evening again. Thank you. And I hope that you continue with this great feeling that you have of pride and celebration.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you.